I have no idea. You did. I mean, it's more useful in the Dungeons and Dragons game, but I don't have. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what you're saying. Let's close it up. We had a run. I mean, technically, we had a run. We did it. I wouldn't say it was a good run, but yeah, you know, it's just kids. You know, they just. I love them, but they ruin everything. So you know. Yeah. You spend the entire time chasing them and trying to stop them from killing themselves or breaking things. Yeah. Because like when they're babies, that's the best because you just put them down and like they stay there. You know, if they cry, you just give them some food. If they, you know, like you're not doing anything. It's not like they're disrupting you. You're just sitting. You're just trying to hang out and just enjoy yourself. But now that they have legs and they have opinions, it's terrible. No. What does the chat say? I can try. Oh. Yeah, they can't hear you. I just jumped into the stream. I mean, I liked it. This is the Phil Baca show now. Yeah, that's going to sound very confusing.
How about that? There we go. How weird was that? What the shit? What was that? What's this?
That's how weird it was. But...
Oh, yeah. That was not weird at all. So yeah, Phil's an amazing parent, was what we were saying.
They heard me.
He cares very much about his children, and
I mean, they heard the important part of the conversation.
No, they didn't. They couldn't hear me at all. So yeah, I don't know. That was super weird. Honestly, all I did was mute and unmuted myself, and for whatever reason, like my whole audio track just disappeared. Super professional here on the Too Much Time podcast.
You need a producer.
We do need a producer. It's horrible. Which is sad because you and I both try to be producers. We're like, you're half a producer and I'm half a producer. So you have you're a quarter, I'm a quarter. So we have a half a producer is what it really comes down to.
Yeah.
Not the greatest. And thank you, Mom, for, helping us out, make sure that everyone could hear us and everything. So anyways, today we're going to be talking about Black Widow. If we want to waste any more time and get into the subject at hand. The movie Black Widow, it was just released 3 weeks ago. Holy shit, it's been 3 weeks now?
Yeah.
We're very relevant in what we talk about. Always up to date. The hot topics. It's a month. Wow. And life is fast. Things happen quickly, and we don't react as quickly. So that's the Too Much Time podcast motto there. But we're going to be talking about Black Widow, and specifically this week because of it just worked out in our schedule, and also because of the new news, the the new news of Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney, and we're going to get into that about lost earnings and revenue because they streamed the Black Widow on Disney Plus, which I thought was a great idea to stream it. But we'll get into that. And but first, Phil, you have a question for me, I believe.
for a second, I thought about throwing an audible and asking you about your superhero pose, but
hey, dude, bring it, bitch! I don't care. That's the one I wanted to do.
You can't get up though. No, in the
by the way, this is Eddie Martinez special shirt right here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Popsicle. I don't even know if this company makes shirts anymore, but
well, look at the TMTP bump.
I thought you were gonna say turtles at first. All right, but what was your question?
All right, so obviously in the movie, Black Widow is on the lam. She's wanted by the government, so she goes in hiding. I guess also when she's a child, they're kind of, she's a spy and she's kind of hiding another way in Ohio. So
yes, wait, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen this movie, by the way. We're going to be getting into the movie, so if you haven't seen it, yeah. All right, go ahead.
Earmuffs.
The whole way.
Although I don't think that I've said just now was all that revelatory.
No.
So I'm curious if you had to go into hiding, like you're wanted by the government. I don't know what you did.
Okay.
But it's probably.
Yeah.
It's not good. Where would you go? And I'm also kind of curious, like what your secret identity would be.
That is a really good one. I'm totally caught off guard by that question. I'm not prepared for it. I mean,
to be fair, I didn't think about it.
Yeah, I didn't think about it either. That's why I'm literally trying to stall. Speaking of which, Mom Pa Baca says they'll be the producer. We appreciate that, Mom Pa. We appreciate that. Where would I go? I would probably go to San Francisco is where I would go. I would have like a small studio right above a grocery store. And I would probably go from my studio to the grocery store. That's it. But my view would be like all of San Francisco. Something notification just popped up and I hate the Streamlabs. Like I can't see the notification. And that is super frustrating.
You gotta find a place to put it where you can.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like it says all notifications are active, but for whatever reason, that particular one, I think I know what happened, but yeah, whatever happened. Thank you very much. Looks like a donation. Thank you very much for the donation. I'm sorry I'm not able to see exactly who does that. I got to figure that out. Using a whole new system here the last few streams, so things are different. We're able to do YouTube and Twitch. I'm pointing up at my screen, and this is if you guys know what the hell that means. But thank you very much for the donation. That allows us to actually do the multi-stream setup on YouTube and Twitch. So thank you very much. But yeah, I would do San Francisco, have the gorgeous view, but I would literally go nowhere. I would be at my studio apartment, and I would just have groceries and stuff. I'd do a lot of Star Wars readings, what I would do. Did that answer the question? Was there a second part of the question?
Oh, what your secret identity would be?
I'd be a writer, man. I'd be like a science fiction writer, and I would... Or actually, I would be a movie script writer, and I would finish my Scarface prequel movie that I've been working on for over 15 years.
I want to see that now. I feel like at this point, you should do it even just for the sake of doing it.
I have a whole bunch of it written. I should show that to you, man. I seriously have... you remember your Stanley Kubrick binder that you used to have with like your drawn picture of Stanley Kubrick on the back? I have that. I stole it from you.
Kubrick.
Tupperware.
You
ever see that shit?
Because he's like, he's this eccentric person. You're putting a little accent on the name.
I do honestly. I do that for every name, to be honest. Whether it's Smith, I'm like Smith. That has the Scarface prequel in it. I took that binder plus a bunch of other scripts in it as well. That's what I would do. Phil, what about you? What would you do if you were in? Where would you go?
I don't know. I very hurriedly. This was my idea. I very hurriedly tried to think of something. Not much came to mind. I mean, my first thought was, I'd probably want to go in the middle of nowhere. Like, it sounds like San Francisco would be good.
Shit, that's a good idea. That's a good point. My idea was stupid.
Yeah. I mean, I guess as long as you're kind of inconspicuous, sometimes you can kind of hide in a crowd.
Yeah, like Jason Bourne or something.
Yeah, but I'll take the opposite approach and just kind of go in the middle of nowhere. My first thoughts were places like, Wyoming or Montana. Like go to a kind of a cabin in the woods. I wouldn't interact with some of the people there, but
I just meant because it's cold. I ain't gonna get into the people.
I'm sure there are a lot of really nice people.
Very lovely.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't want to go somewhere where it's cold.
Because that's the thing. Dad's always complained about Montana. Oh, I think it's Montana or Wyoming, like super cold.
Wyoming, I think.
Yeah.
I'll just go to Seattle then. I guess we have a rainforest right next to us.
Yeah,
I'll just go over to the peninsula.
I forgot the number, but there's like 40 or 50 people go like missing in the rainforest of the Pacific Northwest every year. So that would be a perfect place to go do it.
I mean, if they can't find them, they're not going to find me. So,
what? So no Alias then, or?
I mean, there's still towns. Like I need supplies.
Sure, you do need supplies.
So, you know what? I'm going to tell people that I'm a eccentric millionaire, but it's going to be completely obvious that I'm not. So they'll just assume that I'm kind of crazy.
Okay, I like it.
It's like, oh, weird Phil, he's here. Oh, I guess they couldn't call me Phil. That'd be too much. Zach. My name would be Zach.
You just kept your first name, but you changed it to your last name to something else. That's very good, Phil. I'm glad that you and I are both writers, and we can come up with some great stories. So that's awesome. I would love to see that like short story of Zach in the Pacific Northwest rainforest hiding. Would you have like a job or anything, or would you?
I mean, I tell people I'm a
eccentric millionaire, so you would have to have a job. Yeah, I like it.
That's why, if I'm in hiding, then I can't have a job. I'd just be living off of whatever.
Be like Sweet Tooth or something, just living off the land, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our question before we start into the old podcast. But now let's go ahead and get into the meat of it. So Black Widow. If you real quickly want to just give a quick synopsis, Phil, about the movie itself, and then we can get into the details of everything, if you will.
Yeah. So technically, this is a prequel. It takes place between Civil War and Infinity War, so before Thanos showed up. It's kind of a little side adventure that Black Widow went on after being kind of wanted by the government for violating the Sokovia Accords. So that's where we kind of start off. Actually, the first scene in the movie even is the government kind of chasing after her. So this is Black Widow kind of going back into her kind of past life, so to speak, trying to kind of, right some wrongs that kind of from her life before the Avengers.
Mm-hmm. And before that, the very, very beginning, they show her also as a child. Thank you very much for the follow. Go laying on top. is the name. I really hope I said that right. I really hope I said that right. I am so sorry if I did not, but thank you very much. Go Laying on Top. I like that's an interesting name. Am I saying that shit right? Yeah, Go Laying on Top. Alrighty. Thank you very much for the follow. We really appreciate it. Please spread the word. Super Bucker Bros. We do D&D content, and obviously this amazingly produced podcast that you see here. So, thank you very much. At the beginning of the movie, shows her as a child with her sister in the 90s, I believe. Yeah, it would have to be the 90s in like Ohio. Her dad and mom, fictional dad and mom, are living a normal suburban life. Honestly, really, like, that beginning part really, like, nailed the American suburban life in the 90s. I felt like, kids riding through the streets and playing and that sort of thing and having dinner. But then everything kind of changes from there, and then it jumps forward into the future, and that's when the movie starts to really kick off. So, setting up the movie, what's the first thing that you do want to talk about pertaining to characters, or because I would like to stay away from the Disney Plus stuff toward the end.
Yeah, well, maybe we can each do just kind of a quick review. Just
that's a good idea.
Couple sentences, kind of how you overall, kind of how you felt about the movie.
Sure, I'll go first since you did the synopsis first. So overall, I enjoyed the majority of the movie. I felt like there were a few characters that were written very well, and they had moments to shine. There were large parts of the movie that I found very entertaining. I was a bit disappointed in the inherent setup of it. I wish this movie had come out earlier, even before the pandemic. I think the impact of it would have landed a lot harder, but overall I enjoyed the movie and had a really good time. I took my 3 kids and partner to go see it, and they all had a great time. But there was definitely some parts that didn't land as well as they could have, and also some characters overshone other characters throughout the movie, is what I will say. But what about you?
Yeah, I liked it. I think at this point, Marvel has a certain way of doing things, and they definitely adhere to that quite a bit. The movie itself was kind of its own thing in a lot of ways, in that they're making more of a kind of spy movie, but they still very much kind of stayed with their kind of overall formula, and I think that at times that was detrimental. I really enjoyed the kind of characters and the relationships, but definitely some problems with one character very much, and then some of the action too. I think I maybe would have enjoyed it more if they had done more what felt like real kind of gritty kind of spy movie type action, as opposed to getting into the huge kind of Marvel CGI fest. Yeah,
I could definitely understand that, and it's tough too, because inherently the way it's set up, where Black Widow is not like like they even talk about it, Yolanda says, a god in space or whatever, that it's going to be a more grounded, visceral sort of story, that you can't even do that sort of thing too much, where there's like these big sort of set piece action sequences, but they still tried to do that, and visually they were really amazing looking, especially that end one where everything's falling, but as a storytelling mechanism, you could tell like it didn't feel as visceral as it could have been if it was a more intimate interaction with the main, actually not even the main antagonist, but just the threat at the time. And if you can't tell, visceral is my word of the day. Visceral. Calendar. August 1st.
I think you use it quite a bit.
Do I really? Oh shit. I gotta get a thesaurus over here. But yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. Anything else pertaining to the movie in general?
No, I think I'm a huge Marvel fan, and I like everything. You know, did feel a little bit of kind of Marvel fatigue in it. Again, I did really like it, and I think it's definitely not one of the. I didn't think it was one of the better Marvel movies, but definitely not one of the kind of handful or so that people usually recommend or usually say when they're talking about like, oh, these are the bad Marvel movies. But I think anything other than that, we can probably kind of get into more specifics.
Sure, absolutely. And what exactly should we get into next? Do you think characters individually, or?
Let's maybe start with because we ultimately liked it, but we've said that there were some things we didn't like. Maybe we can kind of start off with the positives. So,
Sure.
but what's kind of the area you'd want to talk about that you were kind of the liked the most about the movie?
I mean, besides certain characters, the feeling of family and loss of family in general, I thought they did that very well. Yelena in particular, you got the vibe that she really cared about Black Widow and her mother and father in the movie. And not just as a child, because obviously she was a younger child and very impressionable. But when she was older, like it was obvious that once the mind stuff, got taken off of her and she could think for herself again, that and everyone all got together, that the chemistry between all the different characters, that she really cared about them, even when she was trying to act like a badass and not trying to act like she cared. And that's credit to Florence Pugh. I think she did an amazing job in this movie acting. I mean, I I know that there's going to be more of her coming up in the future, and I'm super excited for it. But it's also a negative for the movie where, she outshone the title character of this movie, and I feel like more ways than one. But maybe that's just it sucks because it took forever for Scarlett Johansson to get this movie, and it seemed like the movie is just a vehicle to launchpad the next Black Widow character. So it's kind of a positive and a negative in my eyes. The other thing was that I saw as a positive is some of the comedy in this movie was written very well. Like the Red Guardian interacting with his two daughters and everything on the helicopter. Later on, when they're at that house and he's like telling his story about fishing with his dad. Smaller moments. The movies really shined during the smaller moments rather than the big set piece moments, if that makes any sense. For me, at least. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's something that Marvel's done pretty well in these, kind of big blockbuster movies is, make sure to have those moments. And I mean, I think it was definitely kind of the strongest moments in this movie overall.
Yeah.
Even when they did have some of the action and the big set pieces kind of earlier on that were a little more grounded and kind of less kind of CG based. And those were really good. It was really those moments where, like you said, like them at the dinner table, or because really everyone in this kind of makeshift family that's been thrown together is dealing with their own, grief, their own loss, their own traumas that they've kind of gone through.
Yeah.
And kind of being able to kind of work through those while also having those moments of levity, which is really what family is. Like you experience everything together, like all the saddest moments, but also like the funniest moments.
Mm-hmm.
So that was definitely something they did well, was kind of combining those two things in a kind of in a natural way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. For me, I think it's a really good storytelling. It's a movie that is good for telling a story of like the next character, but not necessarily of the character it's trying to tell about. But
Mm.
what they did well with Black Widow's character in particular is they allowed her to kind of have her sending off even more so than obviously Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because I've been really excited to see this movie, knowing obviously what happens in Endgame with her. Not spoilers, she's dead. She had died, and I always just kind of wondered how they were gonna like pull that off. Like the ending of it, you know what I mean? Like her walking off into the sunset sort of thing. And I thought they did that okay, fairly well. I mean, nothing fantastic. But I think acting wise for Scarlett Johansson herself, I think she had some really good moments of really good acting, to be honest with you. Not just her like doing dramatic sequences, but small moments throughout the movie, like really showing her range of comedic and heartfelt interaction with her family. And I think that was the best that she got in the movie itself.
Yeah, I that's one of another thing that was a bit disappointing though was it definitely didn't like you were kind of alluding to it before, but some people were upset that she had died in Endgame the way she did. I thought it was kind of a perfect poetic kind of moment for her, but I was hoping that this movie was going to be a chance for her to kind of have her moment to shine. And like you said, in a lot of ways, it wasn't really for her. I didn't think they necessarily kind of gave her enough, moments or, enough moments to really make it feel like this was kind of her kind of moment to shine and kind of be the star, since she's always been the supporting character in every other movie she's been in.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So do you want to delve into the individual characters, or is there other maybe topics you want to get into next?
Yeah, I mean, we can get into characters. I think there's a lot of really interesting characters. I don't know if we should necessarily like break down every single one,
No.
or anything. But what, yeah, what? So if we're gonna kind of look in the characters a bit, what
Definitely
what direction?
Yelena stole the show.
gotta
I
talk
mean,
about
let's
her.
just get this out of the way,
Yeah.
obviously. Yelena stole the show. She was super funny, had the most endearing and heartfelt moments throughout the movie. Secondly was her father. Like those two together were really well written. And Rachel Weisz was really kind of a wasted opportunity, I felt like. And not even well written, especially the whole... Like they're at her house and she finds out that shit, I don't even know what that dude's name was, the bad guy, that he's been using her technology
Dragons.
to mind control over the other Black Widow. It's like it was kind of cheap. She's like a super smart person, and you would think that she would understand that that's what actually was going on. So for me, Yelena and Red Guardian definitely really shone quite a bit. The antagonist, I thought, was just a cut and paste sort of, Russian bad guy that
Take over the world.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and his conversations at moments were entertaining, but not really. It was very much like 1970s James Bond, which me, I love James Bond. You know what I mean? But like, I was waiting for a laser to come down and start to like slowly rise up at Black Widow or something along those lines, and it wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And then
Sharks with lasers.
yeah, exactly, sharks with lasers, and that's the vibe I got throughout that whole ending sequence. The Taskmaster, which we haven't talked much about that. See, that look alone, I can already tell what you're gonna probably say. I really like the action scenes with the Taskmaster. I thought it was really really cool, well done. Switching between Black Panther, Captain America. I thought that was done very well, and I was very excited to see this character in the MCU. But having said that, and I'm going to say this with full disclosure, that I hope they take the suit or the technology and they continue it on. But I really hope that the character who played Taskmaster is not who Taskmaster is further on, because they do this sort of cheapening of the experience where Taskmaster is the main antagonist's supposedly dead daughter, and I felt like it was Marvel. The writers were like, they had a writing session, whereas if I was sitting in the writing session, where it's like, oh yeah, man, let's throw the daughter as the bad guy. She's not dead. And it's like, that's just for dramatic effect, but it had no real oomph to it. You know what I mean? It's not like, it's just to have that moment of reveal that the Taskmaster is actually who we thought was dead daughter, and it did not land. It did not land for me at all. So hopefully that character can kind of continue on in the future. Maybe the technology, like Tony Stark's suit, gets stolen and gets repurposed, and and I'm totally okay with like Taskmaster being a woman in the future. I think that's a really cool kind of twist, and I really like that. It's just the way they wrote that in was not well done. What about you?
Yeah, the Taskmaster was hot garbage. I mean, the fight scenes with her kind of early on were okay. I don't think they really understood who the character is. I'm gonna mess up my pronouns this entire time, so just apologize now. It felt very much like a Mandarin level kind of a thing, where if you get very in the kind of tunnel vision on kind of what you're working on, you kind of lose sight of the larger picture. I understand that you want to have Taskmaster kind of represent the damage that she's caused, and give her a chance to kind of fix that. It just looks weird with it'd be one thing if they made a point to have the body of Taskmaster look more female, but then like when she takes the helmet off and it's what looks like kind of a buff man's body with like kind of a kind of a skinny woman's head in there, like it looks really weird. I think the biggest problem too is just kind of going forward. If you're wanting to use that character, which you would hope they would, it's one of the kind of better villains in Marvel.
Yeah.
The idea that that character would be kind of a mute, kind of a mute character who doesn't really have their own kind of desires. Like if and hypothetically the character is still out there, that them and the Red Guardian and everyone else kind of got away with Yelena.
Yeah.
Like what would she be doing going forward? Like what would be her kind of like drive and her purpose?
I don't know. That's a really good question, because there doesn't seem to be any sort of obvious way to go with that. And maybe Marvel could turn it around, but I hope that they take that and flip it and just have that technology stolen, and the Secret Avengers that like we're gearing up to, the U.S. agent and Yelena, who is now a part of, maybe Elaine's character gets that technology. You know what I'm talking about.
No.
Yeah, I know. I said that when she showed up in Captain America and Winter Soldier, and she showed up, I was like, it's Elaine. Holy crap. Like maybe she gets that technology, and then they make a new Taskmaster, and that's a part of the Secret Avengers. Who knows? The point is, like, there's potential that they could take that character and do some more with it. If they continue on with that same character from the movie, it's going to be really tough, because you're right. She really, I mean, she talked obviously at the end of the movie, so she can talk and have her own sort of dialogue with other people. But her motives alone is a tough place to go. Maybe trying to right the wrongs of her father and you know, make up for all the things that she's probably people that she's probably killed. I have no idea. It's a
Well, I mean, if Taskmaster is supposed to be a villain, though,
true. Yeah, no, that is a very good point because
you know, I mean, Taskmaster is a antagonist for a number of, you know, kind of big Marvel heroes.
as you say this, I just have a Winter Soldier vibes where she gets her mind taken over again. Is the only thing that, like, if they try to go with that same character, that would make sense to me, where she's turned bad again, sort of thing, without her consent. That's horrible. I don't like that at all. Like, they can't do that. They can't do that.
I mean, you could just make Taskmaster this killing machine, and then, you know, it's never a person. You know, like you would never have the mask off. It would just be this kind of brainless, mindless assassin.
I don't know.
You could do.
I don't know,
but,
man.
I mean, it'd be kind of wasting an opportunity to actually take advantage of the character itself.
Yeah, because that's the thing. When, like, say Taskmaster is fighting Spider-Man or anyone who, you know, talks quite a bit in the comics, like, he's just as snarky as Spider-Man is, you know, going back and forth with him, and that's just a huge wasted opportunity right there. I don't want to keep talking about Taskmaster too much, but it's definitely a character where there's a lot of potential there, but then a lot of missed opportunity in the movie itself.
Well, I think just in general, I think that Taskmaster, Dreykov, it all kind of goes back to this kind of narrative that, you know, I don't necessarily fully agree with, but that Marvel has a villain problem, and this doesn't. Yeah, and this doesn't help.
No, it really doesn't. That's why I'm kind of excited for the Secret Avengers, where it's
Thunderbolts.
Yeah, I got that. I don't think they're gonna actually call it Thunderbolts unless they bring in. If they bring in Zemo,
they could. Well, I think they will because you know, he ended up in jail in the last one. But also, I think they would call it Thunderbolts because
Thunderbolt Ross.
Thunderbolt Ross. But also, did you notice in this one, he was walking with a cane, which he wasn't doing before in some of the previous movies. Yep. Like they definitely seen.
Oh, you froze. It's gonna be revolutionary. Whatever you were gonna say, Phil. Yep, you froze. Fill up. So, I think what he was alluding to, everyone, is Thunderbolt Ross in the comics. Oh, you're there? There we go. You froze for a second, Phil.
Yeah, so you froze on mine.
People in chat, let me know. Was it him or was it me? This happened not too long ago, and I believe it's him, but I could be wrong. But go ahead and finish your... I was going to tell chat what we were alluding to.
Well, so Thunderbolt Ross in this one, he's been, you know, in a number of these movies, and they keep bringing him back. And in this one, he was kind of walking with a cane. They definitely made a point to show that physically he was not doing.
See, now you're freezing and stuff right now. Yeah, it's you, Phil. It's like slow. It's like slow motion freezing right now.
You know, my.
Hold on, stop talking, Phil. God damn. Everyone, sorry about this.
Is that
he's like still talking and it's frozen. Holy crap.
That
Alrighty. So I'm just gonna continue to talk until Phil gets back, because he is completely frozen. I can see it on the stream itself right now, and on my Streamlabs OBS, which the way he froze is kind of perfect. What he's alluding to is Thunderbolt Ross, who in Civil War had a heart attack. And then after Civil War, it looks like he had another heart attack. You there?
I think so.
Yeah, I saw in the stream. It's you. You're freezing.
You're frozen.
I'm not frozen at all. I'm here. Was that you just trying to be snarky?
So the thought is that he's going to try to address his medical condition with the thing that causes him to turn into the Red Hulk.
Yes, 100%. I agree with that 100%. And do you think he will actually be leading the Thunderbolts, or do you think it'll be somebody like a Baron Zemo, or because he doesn't want I guarantee you he's not going to want people to know that he is a Red Hulk.
Yeah,
that'll be like a big reveal for people who don't know who the Red Hulk is and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to figure out. We don't know what Val's kind of position is and why she's doing what she's doing. She might be working for Thunderbolt Ross. But I guess that's what we're kind of learn more about.
She could be working for Osborn, man.
I don't think so. I feel like with the whole Sony thing,
you don't think it's gonna work out?
I think supposedly he's going to be in No Way Home.
Yeah.
And maybe they find some way to kind of share the character, but
it's a tough situation. And that's the other thing with No Way Home. The fact that we still haven't got a trailer yet, like I hope we actually don't get a trailer. I don't want to steer.
There has to be one.
No, I don't think there does. I hope there isn't. I really don't. You know how I am with trailers now. I don't even watch them anymore. I don't want the reveal of what's happening, in the movies, even certain scenes. I don't want to see it. So I feel like they're trying to hide certain things, and I'm okay with that. So to get back, go ahead, buddy.
I was gonna do a tangent.
I bet you were, so I'm gonna stop you because we can go on forever. And Mom Pop Baka says, "Phil, you look so cute." I think she was talking about when you were frozen. And maybe not. You just look cute in general. You're a good-looking guy.
What was the face like when I was frozen? Was it like a mom frozen face, or
like this sort of, yeah, oh shit, like almost exactly what you just did. Holy crap. So we've gotten into that's good, just stay there like that. We've gotten into the characters. Let's go ahead and don't do that. Now I thought you were really frozen for a second there. Don't fucking do that. It's pretty good acting. Let's go ahead and delve into. Damn, I already forgot the other subjects. Your acting was so good, it took me out of it.
Well, we talked about the action a little bit. Well, we didn't talk about expectations, but
especially with the Marvel TV shows. I'm just do this like 2 sentences. Especially with the Marvel TV shows, where my expectations of like WandaVision to where we are now, I'm really keeping my expectations of what's going to happen a lot more realistic. Having said that, my expectations were not really met at all in this movie. I had moments that I really enjoyed and that I'd love to experiencing, especially with my kids, but it kind of fell flat.
Yeah, I think it's tough. It was completely out of their control. They could have done a Black Widow movie at any point. They
should have. Yeah, they should have.
They should have done a movie with Black Widow and Hawkeye. Early on, just to kind of get more of them on the side. But whatever. But obviously, the movie being delayed as much as it was because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then the kind of underwhelming release with being in the theater and on streaming at the same time didn't help. I think if this movie had come out when it was supposed to have, it would have felt a little less disappointing, but still wouldn't have necessarily have kind of hit some of the things that we were really kind of hoping to see.
I agree. And it's a tough situation all the way around, but Marvel kind of put themselves in that situation in the first place. So having said that, I mean, let's not get too much deeper into the expectations. What do you think is the next topic you want to go over real quick?
I think we talked about most things. Obviously, we're saving kind of the current subject.
Yeah.
We talked about action. I think, for me, like we said, when there were kind of the earlier moments where it felt a little more kind of like Jason Bourne.
God damn it, Frozen again. I don't get this, Phil. I don't know what's happening with your setup here, but yeah, the Jason Bourne moments are the moments that really hit the hardest in this movie, because it felt truer to like a espionage spy sort of movie and not a big huge Marvel, gods from space sort of movie. Whereas later on, the action sequences tried to live up to that gods in space action sequences, where this large floating station is crashing and crumbling and falling to the ground, and Black Widow is falling with Yelena while the main antagonist, Taskmaster, is coming down after them. And visually it looked cool, but when you put that in with the Jason Bourne-esque sort of action scenes, it does not feel like a cohesive story. It feels like first part of one movie and a second part of a totally different movie. So for me, action-wise, and Phil's gone. Action-wise, I felt like they missed the mark, even though visually they looked really cool. He's gone. I don't think he's coming back. I think he's gone. I think this is just now the Super Baka Bro, which I don't know if I should be calling myself that. People in chat, if you have seen the movie, let me know. I know it's tough, especially being the pandemic time that we are in, especially going to see a movie in a movie theater. You right? You there?
Yeah, Sebastian's been just kind of running out of the house.
That messes
down
up
the street.
Oh, that's not good. Holy shit. Do we, do you need to go?
No, I got him.
Chase him down?
Yeah, I chased him down already.
You're fast, man. You just took off 2 seconds ago. Now you're already back?
Yeah.
Don't mess around. I appreciate it. So basically all I said was what's up, Everson?
You talk about the
Jason Bourne sequences compared to the ending action sequences. They didn't feel like they were a part of the same movie. You know what I mean? It felt like two totally different writers writing in one movie.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you have to, you want things to be within kind of the same umbrella, and you have to kind of fit things in certain ways. But I think we've had a lot of Marvel movies, and I've enjoyed them all. But I think one of the things people were looking forward to with this was getting something a little bit different set in that world. And I hope, and when they worked with directors like James Gunn and Taika Waititi, they've been able to kind of differentiate what they're doing a bit more and give something more unique within that world. I think that's kind of what we were hoping for with this, was something that will kind of fit in the world, but also kind of gave us something new. And the action wasn't really that.
Yeah, definitely missed the mark. So I've been talking about action and the characters and expectations.
I think we can get into the current subject,
nitty gritty of what's happening. So Scarlett Johansson, who was co-producer, I believe, on this movie as well, came out. Oh, is the producer?
Yeah, she's one of the producers.
One of the producers. I thought maybe like
co-producer is a specific title that means something different.
See, title-wise, I don't know titles at all.
I think she's executive producer, actually.
I thought, because I remember seeing right before it says, directed by, which is usually in a movie when it says directed by, that's like the Frozen sequence where it's like, boom, directed by, and then moves on to the next story beat. But right before that, I think I remembered saying executive producer Scarlett Johansson. So it came out earlier this week that she is now suing Marvel for lost wages because Marvel has released this movie digitally on their Disney Plus format, along with releasing it in the movie theaters. Opening weekend, the movie brought in at 218 million, but then sharply dropped after that. And Scarlett Johansson is arguing that she's being deprived of potential earnings because she has box office revenues put in her contract where she makes X amount of percentage of the box office earnings. And she is making the argument that the digital release of it, coming out along with the digital one, is keeping her from earning as much as she possibly could. And she's if that's in the contract with Marvel, then she has absolutely every right to sue Disney for any potential loss earnings for their decision to do that, especially if that wasn't potentially going to be the decision to release it on Disney Plus. But I imagine she would know or heard about prior to the release that they were going to do that or not. So maybe all of this is just like paperwork, and she's, it's like filing her taxes essentially, like, all right, I need to get this money, so and so. But it's not even the first time that this has happened either. Not with necessarily Marvel, but with Emily Blunt and I almost said Jason Krasinski. I don't know if I was going to say that, but John Krasinski on damn it, I almost said Get Out 2. It's not Get Out 2. Holy shit.
I'm just enjoying
Quiet Place 2. They also sued Sony, I believe. I'm not sure. Because of same thing where they release in movie theaters and also digitally. So for me, I feel like Scarlett Johansson has every right to sue Disney for her lost wages. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I think everyone has the right to sue anyone they want. I'm curious to see how the actual, I think there's kind of two sides to this.
Yeah.
There's kind of like the legal element of like how valid is her case, like what's like that going to look like moving forward, and the other side of it is, kind of what's right. Because I don't know anything about law, so we'll kind of see. I feel like a company like Disney probably has.
God damn it! You keep freezing. Oh, there we go. Nope, there we go. No, I missed. You made a funny joke and it froze for a second there.
No, I didn't make a joke. I was waiting for you. It seemed like you had a joke lined up about me not knowing anything about law.
I was gonna say bird. You know about bird law.
Oh, I know bird law down cold. Damn, what was I saying? I think the law. I'm curious to see what happens as far as actual law of it. Oh, I was gonna say Disney. I assume that they had tons of contracts that have very specific information in them, and that the lawsuit itself is likely going to be relatively straightforward, and that they're going to have to kind of look at what's been agreed on ahead of time and see what they did falls within that. But all this streaming stuff is still new. Like Warner Brothers got sued by like Legendary and some other kind of production companies for releasing things. And I think the good thing about this lawsuit is that it's going to help to kind of set precedents moving forward, so that these studios, if they're going to release movies on streaming services, even not just like big releases, for a lot of other kind of creative people, when they make something and then it gets onto a streaming service, whether it's music or a TV show, there's residuals, there's kind of money they make from that. And I think that this whole process is going to help to kind of determine what that looks like for these kind of movie and TV streaming services.
That's a pretty good point. It's almost like the Napster of, the the new era of movies kind of scenario where there needs to be something said about it. For me, I'm reading this. It sounds like Disney came out with a statement saying that it is. So I don't know. This isn't quote. So I am assuming this is what Disney said. Yeah, actually, yes. What they said. So especially sad and distressing regarding Johansson's lawsuit. Because significantly enhanced, let's see, Disney countered by claiming that the dual release strategy had significantly enhanced Johansson's ability to earn additional compensation on top of the $20 million she has received to date. It is especially sad and distressing in its callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah. What? I was talking a lot. What do you how do you feel about that statement?
I don't know who wrote that for Disney or or why they seem to bring up the pandemic. I mean, obviously it's a direct reason why they, didn't release a movie and that sort of thing. I get that, but regarding to Scarlett Johansson and her character, I don't get it.
I mean, they obviously decided that they don't really feel like they want to work with her again in the future. Like, hypothetically, she could have, filing a lawsuit against someone isn't necessarily, a violent act. Sometimes it's something you have to do in order to, it's like just part of a process. It's something you have to do in order to kind of get something done. Like, hypothetically, her doing this lawsuit.
Sometimes, like, you get in a car accident, you have to, like, sue your insurance company to, like, get the actual revenue. Whatever. Yeah, that's absolutely a point.
Yeah. So, I mean, hypothetically, she could file this lawsuit, and then her lawyers and their lawyers get together, and they say, okay, well, we don't have to pay you more money because with the contracts that you signed, that's money for streaming isn't something that you agreed to, but let's sit down and just like hammer this out and figure out like what we think is fair.
Yeah.
But their statement is aggressive, like it attacks her. It's it's them kind of coming out and kind of being the aggressor, which is kind of an odd move to make at this point in the process.
I agree. Maybe it's them trying to, like you were saying, keep that precedent being set that actors, especially who have that sort of theatrical earnings in their contract, trying to come after the studios for releasing digitally and in theaters. I think it's a stupid move on their part to. I honestly would have just left this all in the courts and let the lawyers do what they need to do, because to me it seems like like you said, just a paperwork mechanism that Scarlett Johansson's agents and lawyers need to file and to make that happen. Because ultimately, if we, as the public, didn't even hear about this, more than likely Disney would pay her the money or they would settle it and it wouldn't even be that big of a deal. But now that we have heard about it, now Disney is trying to just shit all over Scarlett Johansson's character, which to be absolutely fair, she's done some things in Hollywood that's really annoyed and pissed me off, mainly taking roles, whitewashing roles, and then unabashedly not really giving a shit about when people say, well, that's not really that cool, and her saying that she could play any character she wants, even if she can play a tree if she wants to. Like, that's pretty tone deaf on her part, in my opinion. But for me, she's, if the contract is set the way that it sounds like it's written, she's owned that money. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think, streaming's not going away. Streaming's become more and more common. I think, theaters aren't going away either because, as you experienced going to see this movie, like, it's just a different experience. It's something that, people are still eager to have. But, it's important now, kind of early in this whole kind of streaming process, for there to be explicit expectations. I mean, if people are going to start missing out on money from box office, these studios have to find ways to kind of compensate them within this new. I mean, people used to make money off of DVD sales, like the producers and sometimes actors. It's no different. There should be a certain amount of profit sharing that's similar to the type of profit sharing that had already been established with other revenue streams.
Yeah, and they'll get it all worked out in the long run. I just hope that the actors don't get screwed over in this sort of deal, especially where theaters in general, like people going to see movies in theaters, have been kind of on a downward trend in the first place, and now you throw digital in on top of it. It's not a great scenario, leverage wise, on the actors side of it. So,
I mean, that's a good point though, because if streaming becomes, if we still have theaters, but it's mostly just like huge blockbusters, like maybe there's only, like in most theaters, maybe there's only, like 3 movies that come out in a given week, because it's really all just like the biggest movies, and most movies are being released solely on streaming. Again, the ability for production, because that's the thing too, these big companies have their streaming services, but say like HBO Max, like with Warner Brothers, they work with production companies. Those are the companies that actually make the movies.
Yeah.
You have to have a system in place for them to be able to make money off of the movies that they make. Otherwise, why would they make a movie for you?
Exactly. No, that's a really good point. And Warner Brothers, HBO is like the perfect example of that, because they've done it 3 times now. Mortal Kombat, Godzilla, King Kong, or whatever. Third one that I'm missing. The whole, that's not a... I was going to say the Justice League, the Snyder Justice League, but that's kind of a different animal if you think about it, because it's mainly, made for theaters, and then it was like reshoots and that sort of thing for HBO.
Yeah.
But the point is, there's got to be some sort of cohesive relationship between the studios and the digital release form, and hopefully all this gets worked out via this lawsuit and not some sort of cascading effects of lawsuits, that come from this. But either way, this whole movie has been very interesting, because it almost seems like the storytelling side of it is not as interesting as the lead up to the movie coming out and the wait anticipation of it, and then now that it's out, the extra stuff that's coming from it, where you're not sure what Disney's going to do with the property of Black Widow. It sounds like Yelena is going to be the Black Widow going forward, but we don't really know. And hopefully, it sounds like we'll probably see something from the Hawkeye TV show in the near future, because with the way that end credits scene came out, where Yelena is going to be going after Hawkeye, and his show's coming out September, I believe, or
I don't remember. Yeah, this year. We will be seeing Yelena again, and I am all for that, because I thought she did a really good job. Yeah. It almost seems like she might be the villain of the TV show.
That would be amazing. I said this to Brittany, and she was like, "No, there's no way." I feel like what's going to happen is Yelena will end up killing Hawkeye, and then Haley Steinfeld, Hawkeye, and her will have like a confrontation, but then they will come together, very similar as the Clint Barton and Scarlett Johansson Black Widow, and they team up together, or they become friends, even though Yelena has killed Hawkeye. I think it'd be very dramatic. I think there's got to be a personal touch to this show to really make this this land. Because if they try to do the whole big Hollywood explosion sort of thing, which you you can't really do that too much in a Disney Plus TV show. It's not going to land well. Whereas if they do it, you know, espionage and personal relationships and loss of life or loss of a former life, I think it's going to hit a lot harder. I got no release date.
Yeah.
Got no release date.
Well, I think it'll be interesting because it seems like, you know, Val is using Yelena to potentially try to recruit Kate Bishop to this whatever new kind of Dark Avengers, Thunderbolts, Secret Avengers, whatever team.
That's probably what's going to be.
But it seemed like what they're setting up is the idea that this kind of Dark Avenger team is going to fight against a Young Avengers team.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of assuming that Kate Bishop will be part of that team. But, you know, they've kind of set up Yelena to be, you know, like she doesn't really feel like a villain necessarily. So I wonder if, you know, she might almost become kind of like a double agent. You know, if she finds out what really happened to Natalia. Sorry.
Natalia. I was going to say, Jesus Christ. Natasha Romanoff.
Wrestling news.
Okay. Multitasking.
That, you know, that maybe she might end up being kind of a double agent, like kind of pretending to still be part of this Dark Avengers team while also maybe helping the Young Avengers in some way.
Yeah, and that would be a good twist. That would be a good, like I was saying, a personal interaction between characters and not some sort of like big Hollywood explosion sequences like they're trying to do in Black Widow. But we'll have to watch to find out. That's all I could say. And we have, not this week, but next week, the What If Disney Plus What If series will be coming out, and I'm super excited for that. I think it's going to be it's going to be wild, to be completely frank with you.
Yeah, especially coming off of Loki, obviously seemed like that's where you set a lot of stuff up.
Yeah.
And there's more and more people are saying that it seems like there will be a through line for the series.
Yeah.
It will be some like disparate kind of story arcs, but with some kind of overarching story. So that'll be interesting, especially since it seems like a lot of this is likely going to tie into Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
Which they're definitely raising the stakes, so I'm excited to see that. And if there's Shorgrath, I can't talk, Jesus Christ, which looks like there is in the comics, or in the What If show, I am super excited for that.
Yeah, supposedly in Doctor Strange as well.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, in the actual movie.
Shumagorath, there we go. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Can't say shit anymore, it's horrible. So, having said all of that, any last words on the movie itself?
I liked it. I think it was always going to be a disappointment in some ways, just with, you know, the unfortunate circumstances that it found itself in. Also being kind of the first movie after Endgame. We kind of finished that storyline. I think this would have
Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, you know, like kind of technically this is the first movie of Phase 4. Spider-Man was the final movie of Phase 3.
Oh, okay.
You know, I think this would have fit in well, kind of maybe after Civil War, or you know, and maybe if it is after Civil War, maybe. Well, I guess that doesn't work, but it's. But you know, I enjoyed it. I'll be kind of curious to see how this movie affects things going forward too, not just storyline, but with the you know, the box office and how people perceive it, kind of what that might mean for future kind of stories about kind of side characters kind of going.
Starting to freeze again. God damn, I don't know what's with the freezing. It's interesting. See, that's a good look, Ma. I'm freezing like that. to kind of go off of what you're saying, yeah, same thing. You know, it's hopefully Marvel taking a more personal sort of. There we go. You there? Froze again. Yeah, it's weird. Almost like that picture animation filter that you can get on TikTok, and it makes it look like your eyes are blinking and stuff, but it's a still picture. Yeah, with that, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I think that the Black Widow movie, hopefully... All right, there we go. You're back. Hopefully the Black Widow movie, Marvel in general, learns from this, and they work more on the personal interactions with the characters and not so much the set piece, high explosions. But I enjoyed the movie. It was never going to be one of the best Marvel movies, unfortunately, just from the get-go, but I thought they did a really good job with introducing some new characters, and hopefully they bring back the Red Guardian, because I thought he was amazingly funny at moments, and they're definitely bringing back Elena, who deserves to come back. She was the star of the show for sure. I think Phil is still kind of frozen, maybe not frozen at first. He's like blinking slowly, kind of a thing. Everyone that's watching, thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. Please check out our other shows that we do Wednesday nights. I have Phil and I do a D&D stream called Neighborhood RPG. I am running my homebrew campaign that I've written myself called the Magic Jewel Heist. We are fairly far into it. The party is at level 7, I believe. And they have now just recently gotten to the Feywild after a confrontation with the Kraken out on the Eastern Seas. So this Wednesday, 9 o'clock on the Super Baka Bros channel on Twitch or YouTube, which the link tree is in the chat. Do check that out. Obviously, we have the Too Much Time podcast that you're all watching right now, and I am going to be sprinkling in the Dead Space playthroughs as much as I can, whenever I can. I got 3 kids and a puppy and my job to deal with, so I don't get to do that whenever I want. But keep on the lookout for that. Hit that follow button if you want to get the notifications for when I do go live with Dead Space. You can see me be just scared shitless at times. Phil's gone, apparently. And hopefully he comes back, because we usually do a little bit at the end of it, but I don't know if he is. Just in case if he doesn't come back, I just want to say, please be patient with yourself and others. It is a simple thing that you can do to make this world an easier and better place to live in. Times that we are in are tough and can be very frustrating. So just take a moment, breathe, patient with yourself. Phil's back. Phil, we usually do a little bit. I don't know if you can hear me right now, but just wondering. I don't know. Maybe I'll ask it myself, because you've been having to deal with some computer issues. But is there something that you're into?
Thought of a few. Well, I feel like some of the things are kind of so I started writing a film script.
Nice.
I'll say that one. Kind of save other ones for later.
Okay.
I'm writing it with the idea that actually writing it is part of the goal, but also that it's something I could hypothetically produce.
Oh yeah, man, that's awesome. Get it written, and then see what we can do. That's what it's all about.
So how about you? What are you into?
I'm trying to get back into playing video games. I've really not been playing video games. My video game usage has been like Arena, Magic the Gathering on like my phone or the computer, which is fun and I enjoy it, but it's like 10 minutes of playing really, and not like a full-on video game. So like I was just saying while you were gone, I've gotten back into playing Dead Space on the stream. Very scary game. I love it. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And having played Dead Space again, it's made me want to go back and play some older games. So just like this nostalgia video game kick is what I am into
Mm.
recently. And who knows, I might get that capture card and hook up the Switch, play some those games on the old stream. But that's what I'm into.
Well, hold on. I haven't played this game, but I have to ask. So when you play it, are you scared?
Like in real life, you mean?
Like, does the game scare you?
I would
Not
say,
just like it is scary. Like, do you get scared?
well, I would say it's more of like the fight or flight sort of feeling for a brief moment where, and it's funny too because I'll even call it out like, oh, some shit's about to happen or whatever, and maybe it happens the way I think it is, or maybe like something attacks me from the other way, and there is a brief moment of, oh shit, what the hell, it's like a lot of jump scares that they do the job well. Am I actually afraid for my life in real life? No.
Well, no, it doesn't be for your actual life, but
Maybe.
I was curious. I haven't played.
You never know. Maybe you get too excited.
Yeah,
Shit happens, man. Do you play any? Have you ever played any games like that?
no, there was a game on Nintendo 64, Eternal Darkness.
Yeah.
I played that one a little bit. I think it was
Fa-
more creepy.
Fatal Frame on the GameCube.
Yeah, I never played that one.
Yeah, I thought you had that. I thought that was you.
No, I've never heard of that.
Where you had a camera, had to take pictures of ghosts and stuff.
No, I've never heard of it.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you for being here vacantly. Appreciate it. We're just wrapping up. Just got done talking about Black Widow and video games that apparently Phil never even has heard of that I thought he owned. Apparently, Jesus Christ.
I think it would be nice if you started to you can make that even its own thing, its own stream to a certain degree, like you playing old, like kind of retro video games.
I would love to do
that'd be
that.
cool.
I would love to do that. I'm totally down to do that. We still got to do our whole wrestling exhibition, No Mercy or
wrestling.
whatever. Just the
Yeah.
emulators. I mean, one day
Emulators are
you have
hard.
to get that victory that you've never been able to get, and I hope you do. It's exhausting beating you as much as I've beaten you in that game, and any wrestling game for that matter.
You're cute. I don't care what mom says. You're cute.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And with oh, there you go. See, It's probably a good thing. They haven't seen Black Widow, so they missed it. So that's probably a good thing that you didn't catch the majority of the of this podcast. So there you go. But
Go see it.
Yeah, go see it.
Final word. Go see it.
It's worth seeing, especially for a conversation like we just had. It opens up a lot of different conversations, and whether you see it digitally or in theaters,
If you can see it in theaters, that's ideal. But if not, no problem at all.
yeah, we saw it. What is it? The XD theater? Yeah, where it's like it was rumbling behind us and all that stuff. It was. I mean, we had the recliner seats and everything.
Mhm.
It was pretty nice. There were some moments where I was like, oh shit. So yeah, definitely a movie that's worth seeing in the movie.
Yeah. When we went and saw it, there was actually a person in like a full gas mask, kind of protecting himself against COVID, I assume. So you never know who you're gonna meet.
Either that or they're trying to do a Taskmaster cosplay or something, But yeah, whether you're going to the movie theater or just, going out in the world, definitely be safe, take care of yourself. And everyone, like Phil just did, stay hydrated out there. We appreciate y'all joining us. And yeah, so that is our podcast. Phil, thank you for taking the time with talking with me today. I appreciate it. I hadn't really seen or heard from you in about a week because of your camping trip, so it's good, and it's good to talk to you, brother.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you. I'm missing family breakfast for this, so I hope you appreciate.
Oh, that was a dumb decision on your part. I'm sure that was a good breakfast considering your guys' breakfasts that you make. But no, thank you. I really appreciate it. Everyone, Wednesday, 9 o'clock, Neighborhood RPG. be there for our D&D campaign. Phil's character and the rest of the party are just now getting to the Feywild, and it is going to be explosive. It's a Feywild. Phil, there's a joke because my character Desi Kelly, who is a Fey tiefling, she's got a bit of a Scottish accent, and Phil couldn't tell what I was saying when I was saying it's a Feywild.
You say she has an accent, but I feel like you'd be talking and it wouldn't sound like that much of an accent, but then it would kick in when you said Feywild.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the worlds. So if you want to hear that amazing accent and more, please watch Neighborhood RPG this Wednesday, 9 o'clock. And see, now I'm adding another
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock on the Super Baka Bros. Yeah, go Phil, go enjoy your breakfast. Everyone, thank you all for being here. Please stay hydrated. We love you, and we'll see you next time.